Thank you. It's now my pleasure to turn the floor to Her Excellency Amina J. Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's the first time I've heard "Let the Force be with you," the use of toilets, so this is a good one for children. But I really am pleased to be here with you today, and thank you, Ambassador Cousins, for setting the scene for us, and to our PR from Singapore, the ICC, and the other co-sponsors of our member states, and of course our UN agencies. It is a really important day for us. We always have been committed to advocating for safe, clean toilets and sanitation. And there's one thing that we all do, and that's produce waste. The only difference between us and over 2 billion people is that they don't do it with dignity and they have no choice. And I think that's what we have to remind ourselves every day, is something we take for granted is yet so far away from billions. When we say billions, really putting faces to that, how many are women and children and those that really suffer from not just the lack of dignity, but the safety in doing so. Before being appointed Deputy Secretary General, in fact, I think as I was holding a meeting, receiving that call, I was the chair, and very proud to be, of the Water Supply and Sanitation Collaborative Council Committee, which was a really good institution that was going out with the latest of research, of findings, of advocacy into Southeast Asia, into Africa, and really trying to make a difference, ending open defecation, but also speaking to the menstrual cycle for girls, which, you know, for that waste was such a considerable challenge. I had never realized how many millions of girls were really confronted with that huge challenge. It is certainly important for us in the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, and I saw this most recently in my trip to Haiti, where a lack of adequate sanitation impedes the efforts to swiftly end the cholera crisis. Years later, we can still not improve the lives of millions of people in Haiti, and communities across the country trying every day to eke out a living, but also to find the space and opportunity to empower themselves and develop their own solutions to the country's lack of sanitation infrastructure. While I was there, I spent the day in a remote place called Saint-Michel. I visited with a community that had been affected by cholera, like many others, but which had taken it upon itself to create and spread its own local and sustainable solutions to a widespread lack of sanitation. Their empowered efforts highlighted an important need for countrywide sustainable sanitation solutions, which were developed alongside the government of Haiti. It was amazing to see women who were taking charge and using what little money they had to put together cement and to build their own toilets. And one of the ladies that we visited, again, you know, she opened her toilet up to so many others, even though she knew that that would take its toll on her family as they saw an enormous demand for it. We spoke with many of the community members. Access to dignified toilets and safe sanitation that we share. Even the toilet that I saw there that she was so proud of, still she was halfway in the open. I mean, this was not a toilet. This was a toilet that, you know, you stand up, your head above. I mean, everything was really basically open. What was she asking for? Just a few more cement blocks so that she could make it safer. And again, here we are. This is really something that we do take for granted. We will continue with a renewed spirit of partnership with the government and the people of Haiti to make sure that we have a reality that this is a toilet for everyone in the communities across the country. The Sustainable Development Agenda is calling for open defecation and working towards universal access to safely managed sanitation services and safely treated wastewater, which is what we're talking about today. And this means everyone, especially our girls, should have access to a basic toilet facility with a system to safely dispose of and treat waste. And I have to say that, you know, when I look at some of what we call our VIP toilets and they're a hole in the ground, children are scared stiff. Try take your child and ask them to sit over a black hole. And they have all these imaginations that something's going to come and get them. It's a very real thing. And yet, that's what they have. And, you know, we have to feel the struggle and the challenge and the horror that you know, young children go through, and try to make sure that today, World Toilet Day, gives sanitation the attention that it deserves, but towards results. Every year we should be looking to put those billions into millions, into thousands, to zero. That's really what the commitment should be. It is amazing today that everyone owns a mobile phone, but less than 40% of the population has access to safely managed sanitation services, a basic right that all in this room have today. Sadly, nearly 900 million people practice open defecation. I'm not even sure about that figure because that's another thing I think we all struggle with is the basic baseline data. And where are those 900 million? And, you know, how can we target better the resources to make sure that the results are seen today and not years in the future? We have an ambitious global target to achieve access to adequate and equitable sanitation and hygiene for all, while ending open defecation and halving untreated wastewater by 2030. Even halving is not good enough, but that's said to be ambitious, given what we have today. This year's World Toilet Day is focused on wastewater and is asking the question, so where does it go? And what's the it? Anyway, I think here questions are that we should also be asking who's responsible for disposal? What are people's working conditions? And where does menstrual hygiene waste go? Billions of people, especially girls, sanitation systems are either non-existent or ineffective. Feces contaminates the environment, spreading dangerous diseases and undermining progress that has been made on health and child survival. Even in wealthier countries, where people have access to toilets and fecal material is contained, treatment and final disposal of wastewater can be far from perfect, leading to polluted rivers and many coastlines. Disposable menstrual products often end up in solid waste or wastewater systems that are not designed to handle them. This year's Toilet Day observance encourages people to think about the sanitation chain, and it can be good for everyone. This can be a really solid value chain, but we just need to articulate the links better. Toilets can take many forms. Some systems provide treatment and safe disposal in situ, while others are connected to a sewer. But for many on-site sanitation systems, there is a need for emptying and transport. Pit latrines and septic tanks need to be regularly emptied and the waste taken for treatment facility. That doesn't even tell you about the pit latrines and the septic tanks that cave in because people don't have the money to pay for them. These services must protect the health and dignity of workers. These workers are protecting public health and the environment. And many are really true sanitation heroes if you see the circumstances in which they provide that service. Wastewater and fecal sludge must also be treated and converted into products that can be safely used or returned to the environment. Treated wastewater has massive potential. Again, here we're talking about the links in that value chain as a source of energy, nutrients, and water. And the safe use and the use of safe waste byproducts in agriculture and other sectors is increasing. It requires a lot of technology, many partnerships. Of course, it is essential to manage and regulate potential risks, and this requires a deep partnership with communities, ensuring that there is access to education, that there is behavioral change, and access to basic infrastructure. As we strive to meet the SDG 6, and as Elizabeth had just said now, we will be reporting on that at the high-level political forum in 2018, our ambitions must be really high. What we expect for ourselves must be the quality and standards for all. And partnerships are going to be key. The private sector has an important role both in-country and internationally. And I'd like to acknowledge here the amount of funds that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have put into looking at toilets without water. So research is critical. And if we can have the partnerships that are required across the world to do that, we would be in so much a better place, maybe even before 2030. Finally, let's be really clear. Only when we meet the pledge to leave no one behind will we achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And this is really key to our ambitions and aspirations as we go forward. So thank you again for inviting me to celebrate a day that will remain pretty miserable for 2-point-something billion. UNICEF, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to you both for being with us. I know you have to leave shortly, but because your days are very pressed.